name's Marielle, and the title of our presentation is The Seeds of Service Learning. In our course, we were introduced to several different resources as to how to approach this experience. One of them, the book was called Fish, with these 4 themes of really just how to approach an experience, and then the 7 C's of service learning. So we feel like those really fit together and kind of cute little play on words there. As far as our 2 main themes that we felt encompassed our experience the most, we chose community accountability and take action in implementing change. So we'll explain those more throughout the presentation, but I just wanted to explain a few things first. So when you first think of service, you often think of helping someone, fixing something that's broken, or even just the word volunteering. So when we first entered into this course, we were very quickly taught that service should be a collaborative effort between everyone involved. It should be mutually beneficial for everyone and allow you to reflect and learn something from the experience. For Izzy and I, we were placed at Cornerstone Supported Living, and a lot of this learning and reflection turned into not only about deaf culture, but was about ourselves also. So Cornerstone is a nonprofit organization that provides a day program for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So most of our work there was coloring, making crafts, playing games, we made these lovely things when we So naturally going into this, we thought a lot of our experience would be surrounded in play because it was just the nature of the work that we were doing. But because it was the same work week after week, we noticed that we really had to actively choose to be present because some weeks we may not want to color for 2 hours, or we may have a test later that day that's stressing us out. But we really wanted to make the most of our experience and provide everyone with that communication, the deaf clients with the communication that they wouldn't have with the staff that didn't sign. So we chose to be committed to our experience and really be present every time we were there in order for everyone to get the most out of it.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more on a transformative moment that we both experienced together one day with a new client that we met that really was impactful on both of us and for the rest of our experience. And so we met a new client one day. After about 10 minutes of getting to know each other, this client could tell that we were open, we had an open and positive attitude to getting to know this client, understanding and putting the effort forth to communicate with them. No matter if we understood or not, we were asking to explain, we were open to collaborating and working towards this purpose of supporting the clients. And so after about 10 minutes, we had learned a lot about this client, including very traumatic and emotional experiences they were going through at the time. That it was obvious to us that hadn't been shared with everyone else in the room. And after sharing this, they then asked us to interpret a prayer with them with everyone else in the room, all the other clients and all the other staff in the room who knew very little sign. They then asked us to interpret, and in this moment I was like, I'm not an interpreter. I'll try to interpret the best I can. This was very nerve-wracking, but I knew it was our place. It was our place to be accountable in the situation, to explain this client's what they were going through to everyone else. And it was a very emotional and impactful day for the both of us. I can speak for both of us. And afterward, we were thanked by many of the staff members that knew very little sign, that they were able to learn something about this client that they may have not learned that day before that they were going through this. And it's our place as a community surrounding this client and all being there for the common purpose of understanding and supporting them through whatever they're going through, to be accountable and learning what it is they were going through. And we learned what we took away from that progress with us throughout the rest of our experience at Cornerstone, and being open and facilitating communication when it was needed, and serving these people that were having trouble communicating and asking us to interpret when they needed to. And now we see ourselves as deaf allies, and it's our responsibility to take this accountability out into the community and make that change and share our experiences. And so yeah, this is very impactful on an individual level. Mariel's going to talk a little bit more about on a societal level.
Yeah, so we want to stress that community accountability shouldn't stop at the doors of a assisted living residence or a day program. It really affects our whole community. I served with Don Watts, who is the president of Ohio Citizens for Deaf Culture and an integral part of the Lead K Ohio movement, which is a bill for language acquisition for deaf children and getting the word out that language acquisition is extremely important in deaf children as it is in hearing children. And I wanted to talk about a little bit, as a hearing community, we don't think about, maybe if we're in a crowd, who we're standing in front of, or if we're staring at somebody who may be speaking a different language or looks different. But that's because we're not being accountable to educating ourselves about different cultures and languages. And so when we would go out into the public, this didn't faze Dawn at all because she's able to talk to it for herself and support herself. But I would see hearing people staring at us, or if she went up to ask for help, they would be like, very scared, very uncomfortable. And at first I felt like, I should jump in and help as a hearing individual. But then I learned to stay back. She can talk for herself, and if she asks me to communicate with them, I will. And then I noticed when I did that they would speak to me as a hearing person, or always tell me things. And that's okay because they don't know, but what we should really be looking for in the community is educating ourselves as hearing people. There are so many hearing people in my life that I said, well, I've never met a deaf person, or I wouldn't know what to do. Well, now as deaf allies, we can tell them what to do and educate them. As for taking action and implementing change, I'd like to talk about Ohio Deaf History Month a little bit, because that, if you don't know, is a celebration in Ohio from March 13th to April 15th. And the first time that we talked, or Dawn and I did something together, we went to a women's march, which I reflected now as a beautiful parallel to our experience, because it was women coming together and men, allies, and supporting each other, no matter their race, ethnicity, background, socioeconomic status. It didn't matter. Everyone was welcome and everyone was supporting each other, and that's what Ohio Citizens for Deaf Culture does. That's what Lead K is trying to do, and that's what we should do as a hearing community alongside with our deaf community. And for me, this little phrase at the bottom, start anywhere, follow it everywhere, really applies to my experience, because at first when I went to that women's march, I was so nervous. I felt horrible that I couldn't communicate as effectively as I wanted to, and I didn't understand. But I took a deep breath. I realized that Dawn is going to be there for me no matter what, and supportive and welcoming to me, and eventually led me to talking with deaf-blind individuals, which I never thought when I entered this experience that I would do. And that was amazing, an amazing experience. And I don't know if all of you went to the other presentation for OSD people who said they want to continue their service, but we feel the same way. It doesn't end at this semester. It's just starting. So we'd like to encourage you to think of these fish themes not just in your service, but in daily life. So we encourage you to take a fish with you. They're little magnets. Just to encourage living your life to the fullest, which will give everybody around you a better understanding and experience of the things that you're passionate about. Thank you.
Come take one.
Little magnets, stick them on your fridge. Feel your reminders.